The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking fan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck. You may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host. You are about to witness the strength of Damn You Hollywood. Coming straight out of Utah, crazy motherfucker named Winfree from the gang called Radulich Broadcasting. When he's called off, he's got a sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and bodies all hauled off. You too, Jason Teasley, if you fuck with him, the police are going to come and get him off your ass. That's how he's going out for the punk motherfuckers that's showing out. Motherfuckers start to rumble. They want to rumble, mix them up and cook them up and pot like gumbo. Going off on a motherfucker like that with a gat that's pointed at Jason Teasley's ass. So give it up, Smooth. Ain't no telling when he's down for a jack move. He's a murder rap. Keep your dancing with a crime record like Charles Manson. AK-47 is to do. Don't make me act like a motherfucking fool. Maybe you can go toe-to-toe. No, maybe I'm knocking Jason Teasley out the box daily. Yo, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Until them dumb motherfuckers see clearly that Robert Winfree's down with the CPT. Boy, you can't fuck with Winfree. So when Winfree's in your neighborhood, you better duck, because Robert Winfree is crazy as fuck. As he leaves, believe he's stomping. But when he comes back, boy, he's coming straight out of Compton.
I'm only.
Thank you.
Hang on. So everyone understands.
Hang on.
Fine. Now that Mark has broken his arm patting himself on the back. Just so everyone understands a minor bit of context here, Mark said before the show, I've got a big intro for you. And it's probably from a group you don't even know. And I listed a couple of other slightly more hardcore rap groups that I'm aware of. He then said, "No, this is probably not even a group you would know." And I'm certainly, I mean, for God's sake, look at me. I'm not exactly a big hip hop guy.
I would never guess that.
Not
however,
the hippity hop.
Even I recognize the NWA.
National Wrestling Alliance?
Sure.
Ninjas with attitudes?
Zachary Strobel's in the house, friend of the show. He says, "Damn you, Hollywood, indeed." He doesn't know because I don't do the rap intro very often. But yeah, that was a thing for a little while. I would introduce Robert Winfree with some weirdo song. So Eminem has been really quiet since Mark started rapping. You're not wrong. All right, Robert, it's your show.
Is it?
Did you like your intro, by the way?
I commend you. That took a lot of effort.
It did, and I was really trying to I know the song really well. I was really trying to keep up with the cadence and the beat. But it's hard to have to replace all the N words with Jason Teasley and change the text from Ice Cube talking in first person to Robert Winfree. No, but I think I managed it. I think I did it.
You want my hot take about this? All of Ice Cube stuff sound the same.
So
he's got the same cadence in everything he does.
You're not wrong. Thanks, Kelsey.
We appreciate the thumbs up.
You know, I just got a text from my girlfriend who says, "I think you broke Robert." It's probably not wrong.
No, you've come a lot closer to breaking my brain in many other respects. No.
The other thing I gotta share this with Jason before we formally start the show. So I as he said, I told him, I'm like, hey, let me get through this. And he was like, what is the big deal with this introduction? I'm like, listen, I'm kind of like a girl getting ready for a date to go out. I'm not doing this for you, Robert. I know I don't have to, and it's going to be lost on you even if I try. I'm doing this for the people watching. I'm like a girl dressing for other girls because I knew there would be people watching who I wanted to see the show tonight, and I'm like, I got to do something really fun for them. So that's what that was. Plus, I've had Straight Outta Compton or Cotton Eye Joe stuck in my head today.
That's a vast different.
Would have been more. You might have actually surprised me if you'd gone with Cotton Eye Joe.
Well, maybe in a few weeks. Maybe during Cocaine Bear.
No.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Robert Winfree. It doesn't really work.
Cocaine Bear.
We all know that your intro for me for Cocaine Bear is gonna be
Winfree the Pooh. Stop.
No.
Winfree the Pooh. Why must you sing?
No. You're gonna parody "Take It to the Limit" from Scarface.
Writing that down.
Get it? Because cocaine.
All I'm gonna say is I will have a bear headdress on.
I might have to do. Maybe I'll revisit the NWA. The National Wrestling Alliance, and we'll do the Dope Man. Hang on. While you introduce Jason Teasley, let me attend to my child. Yes?
All right, you go deal with your offspring. Speaking of dealing with our offspring, Jason, who we've somewhat adopted here. How you doing, Jason?
Doing good. Back-to-back shows with Mark, and my sanity is still intact.
Oh, you don't have the remote.
I envy you. Your mental constitution is quite impressive. So tonight, everybody, for those of you tuning in, we are not listening to more of Mark parodying
no more Damn You Hollywood karaoke?
Not for the rest of this show, at least.
Fair enough.
Next week, we will be back. Next week for our Oscar contenders, Mark will have a dance routine to go along with it.
We'll go full Broadway.
So tonight we are talking about your number one movie. I'll give you a little sneak peek at the money segment there. The number one movie, Knock at the Cabin. M. Night Shyamalan once again failing to disclose properly the fact that he is not actually a creative genius and he just cribs from other people's material. All
right, so here's the official intro. Knock at the Cabin is a 2023 American apocalyptic psychological horror film written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, who wrote the screenplay from an initial draft by Steve Desmond and Michael Sherman. It is based on the 2018 novel The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul G. Tremblay, the first adaptation of one of his works. The film stars Big Dave Bautista.
Yes, it does.
Big Dick Dave.
That's right. Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, Nikki Amuka-Bird, Kristen Cui, Abby Quinn, and Rupert Grint from Harry Potter fame. In the film, a family of three are vacationing at a remote cabin, but they are suddenly held hostage by four strangers who demand they sacrifice one of their own to avert the apocalyptica. All right.
Well,
talk about.
Hang on. The apocalypse. We welcome apocalyptica.
It's true. 4 cellos. I don't know. When we talked about old, Jason, refresh my memory.
Why? Because you're old?
Yeah. When we talked about old, did we at that time survey the length and breadth of M. Night Shyamalan's career? Did we talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did a little bit.
Okay.
And how it's had a lot more lows than highs.
Yeah.
We didn't go hard at it, but we did talk about it.
So I don't know how much of that I want to revisit, but I know, you and I just kind of briefly talking about it offline or off camera. We said he really hit it. Just looking back at his filmography, he really hit it big right at the beginning with The Sixth Sense and Signs. And I said it took to The Village before he got silly. And so I'm kind of looking at his filmography now. I don't even know what Praying with Anger is, but people knew him from The Sixth Sense. So that's 1999. That's his third picture in. Unbreakable people seem to like. Signs people liked. And I think The Village is sort of like Signs is peak good Shyamalan. The Village is where it starts to get silly. And I'm looking at what he did after this. He doesn't start to get good again until Split. There's a lot of shit in the middle here. You've got hang on. We got The Village, Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender,
Well, look,
After Earth, and The
any
Visit.
reasonable director's career would have died a horrible death if they did The Happening and The Last Airbender back to back.
He keeps. I mean, and here's the thing: he's not like Roland Emmerich, who bankrupted a studio last year because no one else would give him money. But I mean, if you look at he did 3 for Disney, 4 for Disney. He did The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable Signs, and The Village. 4 for Disney, 1 for Warner Brothers, 1 for Fox, now owned by Disney, 1 for Paramount, 1 for Sony, and then he's been with Universal the rest of this time. And his career with Universal, I mean, it's funny. We made the joke about Christopher Nolan. They gave away the story to get him, and the first thing he gives him is Oppenheimer. The balls on Christopher Nolan.
Hey, that man gives no Fs.
No, he doesn't.
I'm gonna make what I want to make.
Yep.
At every step of the way, and it's all going to be great.
But I'll tell you, Universal, the more we talk about studios, is more and more becoming my favorite studio, just because because
you collect weirdos.
After 4 bombs, Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, and After Earth, 4 bombs, 4 different studios. In comes Universal.
I forgot he did After Earth. God.
In comes Universal, who sees this girl on the side of the road, her clothing a tatter, she's dirty, her boyfriends have all left her, she's used up, and in comes Universal saying, "Let me save you." There's no reason why any other man would come to M. Night Shyamalan and rescue him from the ditch that he had been laid in after being used up. But here's Universal, the hero of our story, that rescues him and greenlights 5 pictures, this being the 5th one.
Look, you're radically misrepresenting how that went.
Okay.
M. Night Shyamalan, when Universal found him, he was getting out of jail for his domestic abuse stint.
That's one interpretation. I think we just have 2 different interpretations.
Look at what he had done to that poor previous studio he was with.
After Earth?
Or the one before that.
Okay, first of all, hang on. You want to?
This was like the Ike Turner of. This is Ike Turner of filmography.
Hang on. If you want to continue to stretch this metaphor, Sony fucking had it coming with After Earth. I mean, The Last Ember and Paramount. That's kind of giving your John the clap. The Happening with 20th Century Fox, and then Lady in the Water with Warner Brothers. I mean, I prefer to think of it as, he's just a girl in the world. Went right into marriage, didn't have that dating period.
Okay, no. Here's how this works. Let me switch your metaphor just a little bit.
Okay.
He was a big shot in high school.
Yep. Signs.
Early.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah. He goes to college.
Yep.
And he kind of washes out, and he gets mean, and he gets angry, and he gets drunk and abusive, and he leaves a trail of battered women behind him. And he goes to jail.
After Earth. Yep.
And then he gets out of jail or rehab or what have you. And here come Jason, give me one scum. Here come the Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
What?
A scumbag professional sports team going, okay, you were kind of something once, and we don't really care about all the bad stuff you've done. Here's a contract. Come work for us. And he goes, okay, and he starts producing acceptable numbers, and they have done a decent enough PR job to make you forget that, no, this guy's a piece of trash.
Yeah, I mean, Universal really, to end that metaphor, that really painful and stretched metaphor, and talk serious for just a moment, 2015 to now, I mean, he did The Visit, which was like the big comeback for him.
Yeah,
it was an upswing.
It rehabilitated his reputation.
Split, I think people more or less enjoyed.
I love Split.
Okay.
I was in the minority.
As a standalone movie, not trying to be part of a bigger universe.
Yeah. Glass is okay.
Glass is okay.
And then we didn't hate Old. We just thought the ending was retarded, but that's kind of M. Night Shyamalan for you.
It's also like the other thing with Old was I don't know I'm not entirely sure that you were going to make a better version of that story because no one was going to greenlight the bleak ending.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we did that as a comic strip, and we all talked about how not that the comic book is hard to adapt, but why would you want to, especially the way that one ends?
Yeah.
So they change it to end on a 8-year-old kid who's now suddenly in his middle 40s, and he wins. So life is better.
Well, it's also like, a big knock at like pharmaceutical companies and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It's really dumb.
Yeah. So, which brings us to Knock at the Cabin.
It does, doesn't it? So, Knock at the Cabin. There's not a lot of plot here.
Not a lot of movie here.
No, like
Amazingly stretched into how fucking long was this?
it's only 100 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
god,
like-
it felt interminable.
I don't disagree with you. I only say this. Here's one of my big positives from this.
Mm.
This movie knows it's not a long movie. Like, again, there's editing issues in the middle, so like your complaint about pacing is still valid. But this is not a movie that had designs on being a 2-hour epic, and thankfully.
Yeah.
No, but at 100 minutes, it's still 10 minutes too long.
Yeah, this probably should have been 90.
This needed to be so much tighter.
You could cut 5 minutes out of this easily. Like,
Oh yeah. I was gonna. That's what I was gonna go with. About.
All right, easy. Tell them where you're from.
So we open with a nice little Asian, I believe, Chinese girl. Actually, if her name's Wen, that would be Vietnamese. But I believe the implication is Chinese because of how she's adopted.
Move it along, Sonny.
Hey, this matters. If I'm going to talk about it, it's got to be accurate.
The Chinese Chinaman, go.
You're the one who's going to get us in trouble. Anyway, there's this nice little Chinese girl who is catching grasshoppers, and it up strolls in all of his muscly glory.
I walk alone.
Would it not have been good if he would have done the Bautista machine
Like
guns
coming down the ramp?
Yeah, done the
Just like
machine
fucking
guns.
air machine gunning
He
trees
is-
and shit.
He arrives at the cabin after walking for miles through the pit of danger.
I wish we had seen. Sorry, I hate this movie so much. I'm gonna keep like making jokes. I wish there had been the Punjabi prison in the background.
No.
Like he's just walking out of the Punjabi prison.
No. Bad Mark. Bad Mark.
Or better
he
yet,
should've been
have the backstage segment where the fan just shows up, runs across the screen.
I wish he had been wearing leather pants and a leather vest and sunglasses. That should have been his costume.
Okay, look, the only acceptable answer here is the spotlight needed to be on him.
It's true.
Or
Like that's the only
everybody
thing.
else wore one color and he came out in blue.
Maybe wearing his like Miami Vice suit that he used to wear.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
continue,
hey! If
Robert.
you're not a wrestling fan, you're not getting any of these jokes. But if you're a wrestling
No.
fan, this shit's really funny.
So anyway, out walks Bautista with Bargman Basement Evolution to assault Billy and Chuck. And
Hang on.
their
If you're
daughter.
gonna make that joke, if he is
no,
Batista or is Batista Triple H in this group?
no, he's still Batista.
Okay, so who's Triple H?
Oh,
that
we
would
all
be
we all
Rupert.
know. We all no. Rupert Grint is Ric Flair because he's the bleeder.
All right, I'm gonna go with the black woman is Triple H,
Sure.
which leaves
so anyway-
next is Randy Orton.
So anyway, Evolution shows up to menace the Acclaimed and their adopted daughter.
the Acclaimed.
I went with Billy and Chuck originally, but I think Mark would appreciate the Acclaimed more.
Scissor me, Jason ass.
You know, when Billy
Hang
Gunn
on,
throws,
I'll do it the right way this time.
when Billy Gunn throws rock at them and helps his sons win the tag team titles on Wednesday, poor Mark is going to be apoplectic.
You're not kidding.
No, I am kidding. We both know you don't even watch.
You're not wrong.
Anyway.
Nobody watches.
Now that's not true, but anyway, Batista shows up and he introduces himself as Leonard, and he talks with Wen for a little bit. They catch grasshoppers together. He kind of scares her because he's a scary man. She runs to her lovely gay fathers and goes, "There's people here and they've got stuff," and they go, "Okay, you're a small child. We don't care." And then Batista delivers the title and he knocks at the door. And they don't want to let them in. Our group of 4 people break in. They tie up Eric and Andrew?
Yeah.
They tie them up, and Bautista delivers the warning that you are here to prevent the apocalypse.
He cuts a promo.
You have to make a choice to sacrifice one of your family members, and then you have to kill them, and you will stop Again, the apocalypse. He will stop the end of the world.
He does that.
He really doesn't, and we're getting way too obscure with our references. All of the 4 other people introduce themselves, and Bautista asks for them to make this particular sacrifice, and there's a rejection. So they murder Rupert Grint.
Like you do.
And then turn on the television to reveal a giant tsunami that has been triggered off the coast of the Pacific Northwest coast in the United States that wipes out Portland and Seattle, and nothing of value is lost.
I just want to pop in here. If I see a massive wave coming at me, I'm not just going to stand there.
It doesn't.
And
it doesn't
watch
matter
it.
if you. By the time you can see it, it doesn't matter if you run.
I was gonna say, didn't What's Her Face do that in Deep Impact?
But still,
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering how they recovered the camera footage that came from the tourist camera.
I don't know.
It's
doesn't
so
make
not
sense.
relevant to the movie.
It is. It's
Anyway, they all spend the night, and in the morning they ask again. And after a brief escape attempt from Wen, they say no, we're still not going to kill one of each other. So they murder the nice line cook, and they turn on the TV. And now the plague, Mark, the unknown virus of unspecified origin, has gotten worse.
Yes.
It's worse
for
in South
kids.
Africa. It targets children. It's worse. It's in South Africa, and it's in the United States, and it's in England, and it's spreading, Mark. People are dying. And one of our couple goes, "This is not live TV. If I don't see, oh, who the heck was? If I don't see Bill O'Reilly, I know it's not live. It's not live. You've been timing this out to past broadcast, and I don't know what your deal is."
Take a drink when we make a wrestling reference tonight. Is it live or is it Memorex?
And that'll put butts in seats.
You're a glorified stuntman.
I wish. I would be happy to be a stuntman at this point in my life. Glorified or otherwise. Anyway, one of this couple is able to get free. They stage a bit of a distraction. There's a bit of a fight. He goes to their car. He gets a gun. He shoots the nice black lady who's Bautista then cuts her head
Which is
off.
a hate crime.
Not if a gay person does it, apparently.
Please move this on.
Now that she's dead, and they have still refused to sacrifice Bautista, they turn on the TV again, and now planes are falling from the sky. And this is live. And our hyper-rational gay man goes, "No, this can't be happening. This can't be real. You're still faking it. This is close." And he's clearly so deep in denial, he's actually got Egyptian citizenship.
Hang
Put
on.
him, boom.
Do it.
Hang on.
There we go. I earned that one.
You really did.
Bautista then tells them, okay, because so the daughter and not hyper rational gay man, the gay man has been concussed. Who's then summarily sent back out. We'll call him Kurt Angle, who wrestled more than one match with a concussion. Okay, so we'll call him Perk Angle.
Perk
All
Angle.
right. It's fine. I'm just encouraging people to drink during this. It's the only way you're going to enjoy this podcast or the movie.
We don't want people drinking. They may die.
You should have an ambulance on standby if you're going to follow Mark's drinking game for this show, because alcohol poisoning is a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bautista warns them that I'm about to go away now. However,
I have to go back to my home planet.
However,
Poochie pulls up. Hey,
Nothing goes over my head. I'll jump up and grab it.
I have to go finish my work as Drax. And he warns them, you'll have a few minutes after I'm gone to maybe still fix this. He then cuts his own throat. They send off the little girl, because you little girls shouldn't have to see this. They talk, and our concussed gentleman says, this is all real, right? And the hyper-rational one goes, yeah, probably, but you know what? I don't care. Let the world burn. I'm an angry, misanthropic teenager. And his husband goes, you're an adult. Be rational about this.
Yeah, he's the salt of the earth.
Please stop. He is not MJF. Might have been better if it was.
Because
course,
he's better than you, and you know it.
Of course, MJF would have let the world burn.
Yeah, well, totally would have.
Anyway,
People
he
from Plainville, Long Island are like that.
he's again, our concussed gay man is able to convince the other gay man to shoot him and save the world for the sake of their daughter. This does stop the apocalypse because it was all real. And they realize that, and so he goes off and he finds their daughter who was hiding in a treehouse. They return to civilization, discovering that, again, it was all real and that their choices did in fact stop the apocalypse, and we drive off into the sunset.
And you see the guy in the stands going, "It's still real to me, damn it."
Okay, calm down.
All right, Jason, what did you think of this piece of shit?
It was exactly that. It was a piece of shit. I think it had some elements that were okay. The gay couple got on my damn nerves.
I can't imagine why.
No, it wasn't because they was gay. It was because they.
I know.
Was like,
no. I know
it-
that. I'm
it was-
talking
it
about
was
the
just-
characters.
Yeah, it was just like they were not written very well. This set gay people back in movies 50 years. Flashbacks and everything was just like cringeworthy.
I don't want to interrupt your flow, Jason. I want to give you.
Well, then why did you ask me to talk about the movie if you didn't want to interrupt me, Mark?
Shut the fuck up. Listen, I gotta jump in
It
here.
doesn't matter what you say.
I'm not setting you up for that. I gotta say, when did and this plays into what you're talking about, and it just needs to be addressed now. At some point in M. Night Shyamalan's career, he stopped writing characters and started writing caricatures. Like
Yes.
nobody in this movie is a character. Everybody is a particular characteristic, and that's it. That's their whole character.
They're all these characters are about as deep as a puddle.
This is
They're
deep as a puddle of piss.
Yep. But yeah, the characters were like just so they was annoying.
Mm-hmm.
The gay couple was just so annoying because they wouldn't act like you would in that situation.
Right.
I mean, you know, your 10-year-old daughter's there, and you're going to let it. It's okay, you know, to let her see, you know, one of the Harry Potter 3 get his head bashed in. That's fine. It's
how I raise my
okay.
kids.
It's okay for her to watch the girl die, but for some reason, Bautista slitting his throat was just a step too far. The childhood trauma from the final death was just a bit too far that she needs to go set in the treehouse.
Yeah.
Which, and you know, it sets everything up. I mean, if you're vastly knowledgeable about where this goes and you identify, because the shirts kind of give the ending away.
Mm-hmm.
If you know anything about that.
And
Spoiler alert.
Then if you're not at all a read person, by which I mean you don't read any books, they actually say it in dialogue for you for the benefit of those at the back of the studio.
I will give credit where credit's due. I saw this with Kelsey, and within 2 minutes, she's like, "They're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse." I'm like, "Can I just watch the fucking movie?"
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, we are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and I'm like, "Good job, Kelsey."
Yeah, because I mean, I was waiting for it to throw back to what me and Mark always say. I was waiting for Keenan Ivory Wayans to pop up and say message.
Message.
But yeah, there was no depth to these characters. The parents of the little girl were just annoying. I think that the most depth you had was the girl, because you kind of felt for her trying to go through this. And I really wanted to, you know, I was really looking for the M. Night twist. So I was looking for one or two things at the end. Either the paranoid dad gets off by the little girl, which would have been great, or they went to the diner and seen Bautista and everybody like at the diner, and this was kind of like a fever dream of some sort. That's
Yeah.
the kind of twist I was looking for, and that he just went out and killed his partner in the middle of a cabin. That would have been a great ending. Like he just freaked out and murdered his partner and tried to convince himself that it was justified. But yeah, the couple was just, they was annoying in the fact that, one, who carries a gun that isn't loaded? That the clip
Yeah.
isn't loaded. That neither clip in there is loaded. I can understand not having the clip in the gun, but you just got the bullets beside the clip that's out of the gun, and not at least one chambered. That kind of irked me, and it's just, I feel that you could have cut the whole adoption thing out. That was not needed. You could have cut the thing out with the parents, the dinner with the parents. That was really not needed. That added nothing to the story whatsoever. So yeah, you could have cut at least 10 minutes out of this movie, made it a little bit more tight and concise. And the whole going out the bathroom window, you're the size of Bautista. you should know that he cannot fit out that window. Just because the window's broke, it's like 3x3. His thigh probably couldn't fit out that window. And Mark, go ahead and say it. I set you up.
I was going to say there should have been a Batista-sized hole in the wall.
Yeah, like I could have understood like if there was like stuff broke, but it's like, this is a massive human being. Of course, he's going to be hiding behind the shower. You don't just shoot one bullet into there; you shoot several.
Yeah,
or you just leave. He can't get out. There's no way out of this room because he's a massive individual. So I think, like you said, Mark, it's more characters than characters. I can fully sign off on that.
All right, so I think there's an interesting idea here. It's not executed well. M. Night Shyamalan is about as deft as a herd of rhinoceroses. He is like, you can tell what he was going for. He was like, is this real or isn't this real? That's the tension.
Except it's bad because
it's not handled. It's like somebody's like 9th grade AP English assignment. Sure, you're probably smarter than the dumbasses in the regular classes, but it's still not good, and you have a lot to learn here. Except that this guy's been making movies for 20 years. I don't. It's like, and Robert, I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but like we talked last year about like this wave of directors that we grew up with over the past 20 to 30 years, and how they're getting on in years now, and they're not making things as well as they used to. I like M. Night Shyamalan's definitely falling into that, like Steven Soderbergh, Roland Emmerich, Michael Bay, of like, you guys don't have it anymore. Because I think
that they ever did.
Well, I think like, and you're not gonna like this choice, but insert your own favorite director here who seems to have a deft hand at things and kind of understands how to make movies now, like a Jordan Peele. Like, I think in Jordan Peele's hands, this probably works because there's an interesting idea here. There's an interesting idea of these 4 strangers come here. They're in possession of knowledge you don't have, or they're crazy. Which one is it? We don't know. That's the whole tension of the movie. And you write better. And the whole thing is like, you have a solid premise. You have a solid premise for a 1-room play. What you don't have are good characters to pull it off. You don't have good actors to pull it off. And then there's not enough happening in the movie. So a movie, if you talk in terms of screenplay structure, is made up of beats. There aren't enough interesting beats here. And I feel like they figured that out in one of the drafts. And so they just kept adding flashbacks. And you can do that if the flashbacks have really good payoffs later. They don't. The flashbacks are just kind of flat. And and anything that could be even remotely called a payoff also doesn't really work. You don't ever have that. You never have that moment of, oh my God, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Like, and I know like that's the twist, but like payoff should work that way as well. There should be, so like Knives Out, not Knives Out, Glass Onion. It was one of the things that we said was complimentary about the movie was that things that were talked about in the beginning paid off later, and they were good aha moments. Oh, that
sort of.
I mean, we talked about it. Unless I'm misremembering. I remember us saying like those things worked well enough for that movie. There are other problems with it, but in terms of just what I'm saying now, that's a good example of you set something up in the beginning, or if you want, go all the way back to Knives Out. Rian Johnson set stuff up throughout the movie and paid it off later, and these were big, explosive, fun, creative, colorful moments. Knock at the Cabin doesn't have that. You combine that with, this is supposed to be a horror film. There was normally I'm not the gore hound here, but you have guys like killing themselves in this cabin. I don't remember what this thing is rated. But
R.
there was so this is like the weakest R movie. Yeah, I was gonna say this is a weak R at best.
It's more about language than it is about violence.
But my point is, if you're gonna go R, go like
lean into it.
Use the R, yeah. Like
I don't disagree.
I mean, when Rupert Grint kills himself, I think they pulled the camera away. I'm like, why? Is this PG-13? Why would you do that? Why not? Why not show him? This is the kind of movie that would benefit with a little bit more gore, and that's coming from me. The historic big wuss who's watched all your fucking horror movies, you Baba Duke and fucking. Anyway,
dude, I have given up calling you a wuss about horror in general. You're squeamish.
Fine.
Yeah, you're a little girl. You graduated a little girl.
Like, look, you would not finish Terrifier.
Probably not. My point is,
I don't blame you.
But Jesus Christ, the point is coming from me, who is squeamish and doesn't like a lot of gore. I'm saying this movie would have benefited from it.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
The cinematography sucks in this movie. This is like washed out and beige. My God, it was like watching Frasier. Like, what the hell is with this movie where everything seems very dim? Like, we talked about the use of natural light in The Pale Blue Light, and it's not like that movie is super colorful. But we talked about how like the natural light really added to the beauty of every scene. We praised the cinematography in that compared to this one where this doesn't look like it was just lit at all. Like they shot on a soundstage and just didn't like the thing.
There's a really, really obnoxious constant flickering of light of the brightness of the picture.
Yeah.
That like initially I thought, is this something with like the projector I'm watching this on?
That was Jesus in the mirror, didn't you know?
But no, it's literally just like for some reason this bizarre artistic choice to have the brightness and dimness change constantly.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Reason. And it's really off-putting in the way that's not helpful.
To make the other father half unconscious through most of the picture was a poor choice. There needed to be more tension between the two dads. That doesn't happen. And it happens it happens in the third act. By then it's barely like, too late. Who cares?
Yeah, barely. But I mean, by that point, we all like you hit the nail on the head, and you say like the fundamental tension of this is supposed to be: are these people insane, or is this real?
Right.
Like, is this real life, or is this?
But here's the other
fantasy?
thing about it: they made the Four Horsemen way too sympathetic and normal. There needed to. That's the other thing. This movie utterly lacks menace. Bautista's too nice. The black lady's too nice.
Hang on.
Rupert was the only one that wasn't nice, and he was taken out early.
But you don't have to make them malevolent for there to be the kind of tension you want for this kind of movie generated by their menace. It has to come from. So Bautista, God bless him. I don't think this is his fault. I think he gave the performance that was asked of him by Shyamalan Ding Dong. But I think I can see why they casted him. They were going for subtle and underplayed, which I think is the wrong choice for this. Hang on. What this movie lacks, because the characters lack this, is sense of urgency. They're trying, but they're like measuring sense of urgency against subtlety, and I don't think that works very well.
This definitely needed Shyamalan didn't really understand what he wanted out of this in some respects. I actually kind of like the difference here. Like I've seen some violent home invasion stories. Like I don't need these people to be menacing.
Clockwork Orange, Death
No.
I'm just saying those have violent home invasions.
I'm trying to think of that one.
The Purge.
No, the I'm trying to think of the one that it's the two brothers that.
You're thinking of Funny Games.
Yeah.
Both the original and the remake qualify for this.
The best home invasion movie ever, The Ref.
No, there's also like The Strangers or You're Next.
Yeah.
Your Next was great.
If you go in for the more, again, I mentioned Funny Games on the extreme side. If you go slightly even more onto the extreme side of things, I can recommend a French movie called Martyrs.
Suicide Kings.
So the point there is, I actually prefer that the angle that was taken, that these are people sort of intermittently possessed by the spirits of the horsemen of the apocalypse rather than the monsters themselves. I think that makes, I think the clash of humanity there is a better and more interesting idea for how these people interact.
However you get there, but their presentation still has to be, they are on the brink. They have to get these people where they need to be. And I think only one of them needed to be nice about it. The rest of them needed to be shades of.
Yeah, you could have portrayed the two women and Harry Potter, Ron, as like unhinged and being like Dave Bautista, having the physical presence of menacing, being the voice of reason.
Well, I think
that would have played off good.
Well, I think the missing opportunity there was, why hire Dave Bautista if you don't want his size to play a role in his character? He's a big dude. Yeah. And him standing next to anybody is going to be threatening by virtue of his size. They didn't do it. That role could have been Ed Norton for all who cares? That could have been Rick Moranis. Like, it didn't like the way they the way they used
that's
him.
A bridge too far.
The way they used him, they didn't make use of his body frame at all. And why have a Dave Bautista in your movie if you're not going to use that?
Look, man, if it had been either Ed Norton or Rick Moranis, they could have fit out that window at the end.
True. Then it's believable.
Honey, I struck the horseman.
All right, finish up your points there, Robert.
So again, the big problem is the central tension doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, we all know that the apocalypse is actually happening, and it's okay for the audience to know something's real and have the characters believably struggle with it.
Right. There needed to be elements of doubt placed throughout the movie. Like when he's saying, oh, this is probably closed circuit, there needed to be something that puts doubt in the audience's mind that it might be closed circuit. Instead, they don't do stuff like that.
Well, not even necessarily that. I mean, again, this is one of those things where it's okay for characters to struggle with things the audience knows because the audience has a different perspective. The audience has not only their quasi-omniscience, we have the meta-knowledge that we're watching a movie. And characters struggling against things that we know to be true is fine to an extent. It fails not because the couple is like, no, you people are crazy. That's a somewhat believable reaction to the set of circumstances they find themselves in.
Sure.
It fails because the audience never goes, well, well, then what? Right? Like,
yeah.
There's no dramatic tension in that. And again, it's a giant miss. There's somewhat contrary to your perspective. I did like the fact that these are just people. Like, I actually do prefer,
but I'm not suggesting they needed to be anything besides people. But I mean, if they're in possession of the knowledge that the world is ending, and if this doesn't happen, everyone's going to die, you'd act differently. They don't.
Yeah.
Well, Rupert does. But
they made Shyamalan went out of his way to make the Rupert character more of let's beat up the gay people and not the world is ending. That seemed to be his focus.
But like I'm saying, he's the only one that even portrayed anything menacing.
Yeah.
And like in dire need, and that he's the first one killed off, and you're like, okay, well, that kind of puts a damper on the movie because everybody else is too nice.
Yeah, probably should have killed the line cook first. I'm sorry, Robert. Go ahead.
No, for the record, I don't disagree with you about that. Like, I'm not saying there didn't need to be other things. I'm saying that I liked this sort of idea that these are, again, regular people who, when the moment comes and they have to off-wit themselves to break the seals and continue releasing the apocalypse, like that's the moment when they stop being human. Like when they are possessed by the essence of these when they are possessed by the essence of the horseman.
Do you know what scene does this really well? What I'm thinking, like this should have been more of Terminator 2. When John has Arnold pull his skin off for Miles Dyson's family,
Yeah.
and Dyson's wife is screaming her head off. That's what this movie was missing. A scene like that, among other things.
Yeah, and again, I don't disagree. You're right about the acting not being very good here. Like, it's not, high school theater, but it seems to lack a lot of punch, with the exception of Bautista, and I'm going to give him credit for the following. Bautista has a gift for imbuing humanity into his performances.
Sure.
And this is true of whatever he does. And he's not afraid as an actor to be a vulnerable, kind of exposed character. And he does that here too. Like, Leonard is a very human character. And again, he deserves a lot of credit for that, because there's a lot of actors, especially actors who look like him, who avoid those kinds of roles.
Sure.
So I give him credit for that. But there's a lot technically that's wrong here. There's a lot of close-ups for no reason. There's a lot of...
Oh my God. I was getting Top Gun fucking flashbacks. Oh my... It's Kelly McGinnis's teeth.
There's a lot of Dutch angles for dubious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Dutch Evans.
The music is fine. I actually think the music is pretty... Shyamalan has a pretty good ear for music, actually, in film, which is a little bit surprising, but I mean, the score for The Village was nominated for an Oscar, and it deserved it.
I wanted to quick mention this. Jason and I talked about Death Proof a couple of months back, and clearly Tarantino was going for that like 70s aesthetic with the title cards that he was using and the fonts and everything, and sort of grainy footage. And M. Night Shyamalan was going for that here. This was M. Night Shyamalan saying, remember when movies used to be long and quiet, and we took our time with things, and they were long gazing shots, and we had grainy footage and yellow title cards. Remember? That's M. Night Shyamalan doing that. Except that I don't know why. It's like I was really interested in what he was doing there, because me, I love the era of 70s film. And I'm watching the title cards come up, and
the font that they've chosen and whatnot is like, why?
Yeah, like, okay,
Yeah.
like if you're trying to set the tone of this is going to be a long, talky movie, okay.
Yeah,
but you didn't need that for that.
Tarantino doing that for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood makes sense, because it's of the era that he is shooting.
Right, like I don't get the impression like his choice to.
I mean, the novel the novel being adapted here isn't even that old.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why he went out of his way to be like, this is good. This is a 70s-esque movie when it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Like, you could have just done the movie. You didn't need that part of it. Like that just seems like M. Night Shyamalan. Like, no one just wanted to tell him no at this point.
It felt more like he's okay. We're gonna do this because I think it looks cool, and that's
what I'm saying. Like, it's a baby that probably needed to be killed in editing, and they just let him do it because, like, who cares? They didn't know that like 3 neckbeards were gonna yell about it on a podcast. It's utterly unnecessary.
Yeah, it's not the best. We mentioned this before. Like, this movie's 100 minutes long. You could easily cut 5 of that.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to cut 10. Like, I say you can cut, like, 5 would be an easy cut. The next 5 might be a little bit more difficult, but you could probably do it.
See, I don't think so. I think if you cut the 2 flashback scenes, you're right there at it, because I don't think that either one of those flashback scenes added anything to the movie.
No, the only one that kind of does, and here's the other problem with the sort of tension the movie's trying to go for. They needed to lean because the audience knows the apocalypse is real. Like, there's no tension around is this or isn't it, right?
Mm-hmm.
None for the audience. The tension has to become what's their choice going to be. Like,
right.
We're waiting for them to
Kill the
realize.
kid.
Please stop and let me finish. Much as I approve of child death in cinema, let me finish. the choice, and this is kind of what makes one of the things that makes the book better than the movie. Like the knowledge that this is real becomes more readily apparent to pretty much everyone a lot faster. And it does kind of become, well, what do we do with this knowledge? Like that's where the tension is supposed to lie in this movie, and it doesn't because it's badly handled.
Yeah.
And it leads to what should be our big climax where, okay, it's real. What do we do?
Right.
And that just kind of falls flat because at that point, the morality play is so ungodly apparent that a child can figure it out. The pseudo-misanthropic half of our couple is gonna have to learn to re-find his faith in humanity because the other one is like, no, I'm not gonna kill you. It's not in me. You're going to make our daughter, you're going to provide well for our daughter, you're going to live your lives, you're going to have a great future, and it's okay. And the one who's like, but no, I've seen things, don't you understand? I don't like the people, let the world burn, is going to wind up, is again appropriately told, okay, you're not an edgy teenager, please grow up. and you rob all of this of tension because it's so badly handled. I mean, not to do a bit too much of a compare and contrast thing here, but in the interest of so everyone knows how the book goes, if you want to read the book, pause this, skip ahead, whatever. I'll be as brief as I can. During the fight over the gun, the setup is all the same, but during the fight over the gun, Wen is shot and killed, and the tension that arises then is, well, she wasn't a willing sacrifice, so it doesn't count. One of you two still has to die. And the choice they eventually settle on is, screw it, let the world burn. Which I understand why the movie didn't go with that.
Sure, for the same reason, Old doesn't end the way that it does.
Yeah, but I think you should have had the tension of one of the dads being okay to kill the kid, and the other dad trying to protect him. They
definitely could have done that.
Yeah, and and like you were saying, like let it be known to the characters earlier that this is actually real, and we have to make a decision. And I mean, I would have killed the kid because they could have went overseas, got another one like it's Costco.
Radulich Broadcasting Network. We're okay with killing children.
Well, I mean, you see all the bassinets there full of kids. I mean, they could have went over and got another one that wasn't effective this time.
Yes. Throw the disclaimer up again there, Mark.
Well, she was defective. How do you did they get her half?
The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions they find, Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Jason?
Did they get like a discount? I mean, seriously, did they get like a discount? I can unmute myself, Mark. I mean,
all right, we're almost at an hour. Let Winfree, please. Let's stop doing an infomercial for killing children or replacing them like batteries. And let's let Robert finish up his point here so we can move this on.
Minor note, I don't know if the child actor in question has a cleft palate or not. If she does, the surgery was remarkable because that is one of the smallest cleft palate scars I've ever seen in my life. I think there's a better way to build tension with, I believe it was Andrew, the attorney, being more visibly in denial and not trying to play the expectations of the audience off. And like Jason mentioned, having Eric kind of being like, okay, we do have to do this, but is it me or is it the kid? Because I don't have it in, like his whole stance can be, I don't have it in me to kill you. I might be okay with killing the kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole orphanage of them.
There's ways to actually build tension between those characters. Having them do the big spinning shot at the end is not, like, that wasn't it, guys. That was just not it.
All right. Anything else before we go?
not really. It's not a great movie. Like Bautista's acting remains like the high watermark for this movie in general.
When I watched it with Kelsey in the theater, at the end of it, I was just like, You know,
Yeah.
I've seen better from Shyamalan. It was one of those where, like, while I was watching it, it's okay. But that is the fun thing about this show, because I can watch movies passively, and I can have fun with the people I'm watching it with. But then I actually have to think about the show. I have to think about the movie and what it is I'm going to say about it. And the more I think about things, the more problems I start to find with it. And so I'm going to say a phrase that's becoming very popular on this show that I want the Chris Baileys and the Ronnie Adams and, the rest of the world to hear. Most of the movies we review are more or less fine if you're passively watching them, which most people are. The problem is none of these movies, for the most part, stand against the test of scrutiny. Not
even serious scrutiny. Like the basics of scrutiny.
Yeah, like anytime we just start talking, because like we don't let me pull back the curtain and show you how the sausage is made. We don't talk about this stuff really beforehand. Like we might share some stuff in our group chat, but for the most part, and I do this purposely because I don't want to give away what we're going to talk about on the show in the group chat that no one else is going to see except the other people in the group chat.
The majority of if we say anything in the group chat, it tends to be just an immediate vent. Like Mark or I will come back and go, like, Mark has occasionally done the thumbs up. Mark will occasionally do like a thumbs up brief review, or I'll come in with a boy that sucked.
Yeah.
But like the specifics, we don't talk about them.
Right. So what you're getting is us naturally bouncing off of each other, and he'll say something, and I'm like, oh, that's right. It reminds me of this thing in the movie, and we're just going back and forth, and you're hearing us kind of viscerally dissect the movie in real time. I've thought about it, but there's stuff that it didn't occur to me until Robert starts talking, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, that's why the show is the way that it is when you start to talk about these movies, the problems become more evident the more you talk about them. If you're not, if in the 2 minutes that Kelsey and I were talking after the show before we just moved on and we're doing something else, I didn't have time to really rip the movie apart. And it wasn't so bad that I got done with the movie and was like, oh my God, it's awful. And here's all the reasons why. It's not so good that I'm like wiping tears out of my eyes going, oh my God, I am born again. Like when the world was young. It's right there in the middle where most movies are, where it's like, it's fine. But if I have to think about this for too long, it's going to suck.
It's not in the middle. It leans a lot further to the suck side.
Well, it's a large gray area. All right. Speaking of gray areas, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
All righty. For the weekend, everybody's working for the weekend on a $20 million budget.
You and I have to eat a little bit of crow here.
It on a $20 million budget, it made $21.9 million.
It'll be solidly profitable, but not a home run.
As of February 6, 2023, Knock at the Cabin grossed $15 million in the US and Canada and $6.9 million in other territories for a worldwide other. It's fucking China, India, other. For a worldwide total of $21.9 million. In the US and Canada, Knock at the Cabin was released alongside 80 for Brady, which I will talk about in a moment. It was projected to gross 15 to 17 million.
Please don't.
From 3,643 movies for women matter.
To who?
Jesus Christ. Fucking.
Mark.
Yes.
80 for Brady was dead on arrival when the Buccaneers washed out of the Super Bowl this year. Imagine for just a moment, if you will. Let's hop over to a slightly alternate world.
Hang on 1 second. So not only did my son want to see 80 for Brady, but they're advertising this other Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin movie, and he wants to see that too. I have so many questions about my son right now. Like, why did he want to see all these old lady movies?
You have failed him.
I have, and I don't know what happened. Anyway,
it's alternate universe. Look, if your family is the one pulled aside and said, somebody's got to go, like,
Jonas drew the short straw.
Anyway, alongside 80 for Brady was projected to gross 15 to 17 million from over 3,000 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made 5.4 million on its first day, including 1.5 from Thursday night previews. It went on to debut 14.2 million, displacing Avatar: The Way of the Waiter from atop the box office. Don't you understand, Robert Winfree?
It was overdue.
Yeah, well, it only took 8 weeks. All right, so yes, Knock at the Cabin from Universal was the number one movie of the weekend. We as far as like Eating Crow, 80 for Brady debuted at number 2, and it knocked Avatar from 1 to 3.
You and I both had kind of come around to, it might be 80 for Brady that wins the weekend.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell. I mean, there were a lot of pre-screen. There were like ladies' night screenings. There was, even before Thursday. I mentioned this to you. Like when I went to go
Tom Brady ruined this movie by announcing his retirement 2 weeks ago.
Probably, but I told you there were a bunch of different screenings. Well, even before the Thursday night showings, like just like Valentine's Day or this or that thing.
Yeah, whatever.
So they were really pushing this movie hard, and I would say like 80 for Brady got a fair amount of marketing before it came out. Like I said,
dude, how much? Do me a favor. What was the budget on 80 for Brady, real fast?
I'll tell you a second.
You know what really hurt 80 for Brady, right? They couldn't have a showtime after 6 p.m. because everybody would be going to bed.
That didn't help.
$28 million budget, and it made $13.9 million.
I'd bet a lot of money that 80 for Brady spent about that same on marketing, given how heavily it was pushed. Like,
yeah,
sure.
It was pushed heavily.
All right, so
Tom Brady took the pay cut to appear in that, given what he makes per game.
So listen, if you haven't seen 80 for Brady yet, and you have Paramount Plus when it shows up there in about a week, give it a watch. If you're not a chauvinist pig.
You don't have to, hang on. Okay, hold on just a second.
Yeah.
My objection to this movie has nothing to do with the fact that
it has women. Everything to do with your penis.
It has nothing to do with that. I don't like most football movies in general, and I still could not possibly care less what Jane Fonda does, apart from
I mean, how do you not like Wildcats? It's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings.
Hey,
that's why we're here to sing. Football.
We said no more singing on this episode.
Football. All right. Knock at the Cabin, number 1. Number 2 is 80 for Brady. Number 3, Avatar from 1 to 3. 1 to 3. BTS yet to come in cinemas. Debuted at number 4. Puss in Boots, which there was an article today in Variety that it displaced Avatar in the UK as the number 1 movie, which I think was fun. Dropped from 2 to 5. A Man Called Otto 4 to 6. Megan or M. Freegan 5 to 7. Missing. Poor Sony. Almost not a studio. That fell from 6 to 8. The Chosen season 3 finale debuted at number 9. And then some Indian movie fell from 3 to 10. Plane currently on PVOD fell from 7 to 11.
It's made the money it's going to make.
The Amazing Maurice debuted at number 12.
Amazing.
Baby Ruby debuted at number 39. A re-release of A Difficult Life debuted at 41. Let It Be Morning debuted at number 45.
Story, A Difficult Life.
Full Time debuted at number 47. So that was the weekend. Worldwide. Worldwide is still not Megan because Megan was 2022. Damn you, France.
Technically speaking.
All right. The number 1 movie in the world right now is that same Indian movie.
Say it.
Punjabi.
Punjabi Prison. Got it.
Punjabi Prison.
Still the number 2 movie in the world at 38 million. The new guy, Richie Jam, that's not playing in America is number 3.
Not playing anywhere.
Missing is number 4. Knock at the Cabin, number 5 for the year so far. Another Indian movie, I think. Who knows?
Hey, look, there's 80 for Brady. Okay.
Coming in at number 7. Behind
80 for Brady.
Nabunu.
Hang on. Will 80 for Brady do better or worse than Morbius?
Okay, not Indian. This looks like it's Chinese.
Oh, that's Chinese.
Or Vietnamese.
Why do you got to be? That's racist, Mark.
You're not kidding. 80 for Brady is at number 7. Appointment, number 8. BTS has to come in cinemas, number 9. And A Guilty Conscience 10. Hey, House Party didn't even break 10 million yet.
God.
Let's go, Zaslav. Let's go.
Currently doing worse than Morbius. House Party.
Why do they feel the need to remake a classic?
Dude, when we talk about the downfall of Warner Brothers, Morbius sank that studio.
Yeah.
All right. So this weekend, the big movie in cinemas is Magic Mike's Last Dance, which the Rotten Tomato score got revealed today. It's like the critical score is, I think, like less than 50%. It's like in the 40 somewhere.
So-
There's really nothing else coming out this weekend, and we're not reviewing it.
Hang on. Here's the real question about this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Does Avatar reclaim the #1 spot?
That's a valid question because there were three possibilities of things that will happen. Avatar becomes the #1 movie of the weekend again, either 80 for Brady or
Knock at the
Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin. Hang on. Knock at the Cabin's not repeating. I would bet money on that.
There's an outside possibility. It might sound crazy. We got a fan of Magic Mike here. Hi, Christina. She's pulling for Magic Mike to win the weekend, which is one of the three possibilities.
That's a real outside shot.
If all the single ladies, go see Magic Mike, it wins the weekend. No question. It has no other competition.
Well,
So,
sure, but not everyone's gonna go see. Dude, Channing Tatum has aged like milk.
So here's the three possibilities.
But he's
Avatar,
going to be Gambit.
80 for Brady. Shut up, Jason. And that's a bingo.
You just say bingo.
Avatar. Either or 80 for Brady. I think there's an outside chance that 80 for Brady is the #1 movie of the weekend.
I agree.
Now that the word's out.
I agree. It's got an outside shot at bumping up.
So yes, or Magic Mike wins the weekend because of all the single ladies and the homosexuals.
Well, you got to cut the homosexual population at least in half because the lesbians don't care one iota.
No, they do not. So that's the possibility for this weekend, and then none of this is going to matter in 2 weeks when Ant-Man comes out. However,
in 3 weeks none of this is going to matter because Cocaine Bear.
Yes, and then
our new Earth sign overlord.
I swear to God, I'm going to keep saying this. I am Kid Rock.
No, you're not.
Okay, I am Kid Rock, and I am speaking this into existence the way he spoke himself into popularity. Kid Rock talked about that if he said he was popular enough times, he would become popular, and that is exactly what happened. And Kid Rock is our new cultural icon, as we know.
Okay, hang on. That's not actually how that happened. Like that was his line about it.
Yes.
He did not become popular because he said he was popular a lot of
Mm-hmm.
How do you know?
He
said
spoke the magic words, ba with dang and dang diggy, and he
had a midget. He had a midget friend.
He had Short Joe or whatever the heck his name was, which I only know because of The Simpsons.
Little Joe.
That helped.
Mm-hmm.
He became popular because he was willing to do a lot of press and make music. And you might dislike his music. I'm not here to advocate for it.
I love Kid Rock's music, but then,
no one's ever accused you of having good judgment
or taste. The point is, I'm gonna speak. I don't care about
the point is, no. Here's the point.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about people who become famous simply for being famous, you need a sex tape. That's it.
Well, Jason, you know what we have to do with the Cocaine Bear now.
Oh, well, I've already exposed myself to the group chat, so I might as well go worldwide.
You've got to pull a Paris Hilton
every
or Kim
week
Kardashian.
for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to speak this into existence. Cocaine Bear, #1 movie of the weekend, displacing Ant-Man. When you hear repeated thuds, it is Disney and Marvel executives jumping out a fucking window when they can't make 2 weeks in a row. But what apparently is like the best movie. By the way, that tweet where he's like, Ant-Man's the best movie of Phase 5 cracked me the fuck up. I thought that was fantastic.
It's the best. What was the other part? Like,
it was the best movie. It's the best Marvel movie since Black Panther.
It's the best Marvel movie since the last one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. So anyway, that's what's coming up next. Magic Mike, which we are not
you know what kills me about that, like
Ant-Man and then Cocaine Bear.
What kills me about that sarcastic tweet is there's people who genuinely are doing that since, like, unironically.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And I hate them.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there because I don't know how this will fall, but Blood and Honey comes out on Wednesday and it's getting a wide release.
Already greenlit for a sequel,
and it's getting a wide. It has went on to get a wide release.
Couldn't it be funny?
More and more theaters have picked it up.
Wouldn't it be funny if Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey actually displaces Ant-Man instead of Cocaine Bear? I don't even know. I don't know what I would do with myself.
You know exactly what you would do with yourself. And it's not fit for public consumption, but you do it.
I would expect Winfree would not come on the show that week because there would be a lot of
we're gonna
celebratory-
review Cocaine Bear. I'm gonna be here.
No, I'm talking about the Ant-Man the Wasp. If it can't unseat Pooh, Blood, and Honey.
Oh, no, I'll still be here. Look, I will point and laugh at Marvel along with everybody else. I'm happy to watch that particular empire burn.
All right. Not a whole lot else to talk about with the money. So if we're not doing Magic Mike's Last Dance, because I wouldn't do that to Robert Winfree because I love him.
Shouldn't do it to yourself either.
Love him like a spouse. I do.
No, you don't.
No, no. I absolutely love you like a spouse.
No, you
no,
don't.
Maybe
no
more.
doubt about that. I said a, not a particular.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
Instead, we are going to next week, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in the plugs. Instead of doing a movie release for the weekend, we are going to look at all of the Best Picture contenders for the 2023 Oscars. Some of which we've covered, like Top Gun and Avatar. Others of which we never got a chance to talk about, like Triangle of Sadness and The Banshees of Ed Sheeran.
Dude, have you seen Banshees yet?
No, that's the last one. I'm going to watch it tomorrow morning.
So you understand. That is a grim, very bleak look into your future and mine, for that matter.
Wait.
Oh, wow.
That movie...
Why is Ed Sheeran making depressing movies?
One, I would curb stomp Ed Sheeran if given half a chance. If you mean the movie The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, so I said The Banshees of Ed Sheeran.
That movie gave me an existential crisis so severe.
Oh, really?
I had to watch the first season of True Detective to lessen it.
Wow. Oh, I can't wait for this then tomorrow morning.
No. It's not going to mess with you the same way it messed with me. I guarantee you it's not.
Okay. Well,
but that thing, like, I got done with that movie and went, man, I have not felt this depressed after a movie in a long time.
ooh,
Let me watch Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson in True Detective, and this will make me feel better.
great.
Go watch Nerdland.
Oh my God, Jason.
It'll make you feel better about yourself.
I almost rewatched Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, you poor baby. Yikes. Well, I got to watch it. Like, if I can get through Tar and get through anything. But
isn't that the truth?
you want to talk about fucking talky movies?
Like, I'll say this when we review it more fully next week. I feel like they nominated Tar because they sat around and went, you know, if we don't nominate any of the Oscar bait movies, they'll stop making Oscar bait movies.
Right. No. There's absolutely nominations on that list because like, well, what else the fuck are we supposed to nominate? The Batman? So yeah.
Should have nominated The Northman. Like, The Northman would have replaced at least two of the movies that we're going to talk about in my list.
Sure. Anyway, we're gonna, for the first ever in Damn You Hollywood history, we're gonna do a survey of all the Best Picture nominees instead of dedicating triple features to them because I'm social and don't have time. All right. With that said, the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Coming in at a fierce, it ain't half good, yeah, but it ain't half bad neither.
That's actually better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, the audience and the critics kind of came in on the same page here with 68% critical score and a 64% audience score. No audience critical consensus, but here's what the dumb shits at Rotten Tomato wrote.
All right.
Although it's
okay, hang on. What the AI that Rotten Tomatoes employs to generate this stuff.
The dumb shit AI, sure. Although
the employee who jumped into Chat GPT and went write a sentence review of this.
Although it's often less scary and parts of the story don't bear scrutiny, I believe we talked about that. Knock at the Cabin is a thought-provoking chiller and upper-tier Shyamalan. No, the fuck wasn't.
No, it's not.
No.
Look, we talked briefly about The Village. Let me tell you the other problem with The Village. People went into it expecting a horror movie, and it's actually a very twisted love story. When you understand what it is, a lot of it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm saying people
But it's
didn't
really
understand
up to like the marketing people. Here's the thing. it's up to the marketing people to frame things correctly. If you frame things differently and then you attract that audience that's looking for what you framed, and that's not really what the movie is, that's not the audience's fault for hating it. That you tricked the audience into coming to see the movie by painting it as something. Do you remember when Deadpool was being advertised? And now this was being cheeky and almost a parody, but they were pitching it as they were putting it out on Valentine's Day, and they were like putting out posters of like Ryan Reynolds without the costume on, with Mona Baccarin, I think the actress's name was, and Monica. And it was supposed to look like a rom-com.
Yeah, I think it's
Morena. I think it was supposed to look like a rom-com, but if you're a comic book fan, it's fucking Deadpool, and that they're making a joke out of it. But can you imagine how many people went into that movie thinking it was a rom-com and like, oh my god, in the first 10 minutes of that movie?
You've seen some of the fake movie posters that are meant to be deliberately misleading?
Yeah, sure. It's that sort of thing.
Like,
it's funny. Yeah. Funny when you're trying to make a joke out of it. When that's your actual marketing campaign, you're kind of committing fraud.
Yeah. Like, again, it's funny enough when like, because I saw one for Eyes Wide Shut that was just like because again, Eyes Wide Shut, but in the style of like the Hallmark Christmas movies. Like that was the trailer style, the poster style.
All right, Dennis Schwartz of Dennis Schwartz Movie Reviews. Another lousy end of the world film from M. Night Shyamalan. You
ain't wrong, buddy.
It's also not particularly helpful, but whatever.
That's more helpful than a lot of the reviews we've read.
Steve Erickson of Gay City News, a little on the nose, don't you think? The religious apocalypse of Knock at the Cabin plays as a cool concept rather than a demonstration of actual faith and concern, but it highlights the stiff price gay men are expected to pay for full access to American life.
Oh, piss off.
I mean, that might have been what he was going for, but missed the ball entirely.
It has no. This is a reviewer foisting an allegory where one does not exist as far as the movie goes.
Rich Juzwiak of The Muse / Jezebel. What this setup offers is both novel representation of an uncommon punishment for its queer characters.
Get fucking bent.
Okay, people. I'm not even talking subtext here that you are missing. You are straight up missing the point of what's going on here if you think that it's about punishing the gays. No, it's not at all.
No. Felix Vasquez Jr. of Cinema Crazed, one of Shyamalan's stronger, more provocative genre entries. Nope.
Not even close.
No. Going with no.
Stephen A. Russell of Sunday Arts Magazine podcast. Here we are, toiling in obscurity, but this guy's podcast gets to be on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, he's on a radio show. He's on actual radio. He's on Joy 94.9.
No one listens to that. That's
not true when you know it.
There is a very interesting concept behind this one, but it didn't work for me. Who the fuck are you? Who cares? It didn't work for you.
I'm going to assume there's some useful stuff that's cut out in that ellipses. Like I'll give this guy half a credit, but whoever pulled this out might have done him a severe disservice.
I like the next one.
Oh yeah, no. Future ex Mrs. Winfree, Rachel Wagner of RachelReviews.net. What are we supposed to take from all that? I have no idea, ma'am. Whatever you were doing before you got the idea, the hot like fucking hair up your ass to start reviewing movies, go back to it.
I got something you can take with you.
Ooh.
Oh, Robert.
Oh, my.
I mean this. Not every movie is meant to be that thought-provoking and that...
I mean, it is Valentine's Day, Mark.
Oh, it's not. Is it actually?
Next week it is.
Yeah, I thought it was next week.
It's in the season.
Okay, we can be in Valentine's season, but it not be Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is deeply depressing for me. I had to put down my dog on Valentine's Day.
Ooh. Maddie Lucas are from the front row. A tentative return to Signs era.
No.
Form for Shyamalan.
Okay.
It stops just short of being great by spelling itself out a little too neatly for the themes to truly resonate.
Okay, let's talk for just a minute about why Signs works and this doesn't. And I mean this for half a second here. One, quality of actors. And nobody in this thing a hair on the back of either Mel Gibson or Joaquin Phoenix or even Rory McCulkin for that matter.
Yeah.
Culkin, sorry. Nobody's that close to being a good actor. Like, I like Bautista as a general rule. He is nothing compared to those gentlemen.
No.
Second, there's actual thematic coherence going on within Signs, specifically related to Mel Gibson's character's loss of faith and rediscovering it. That, again, that is cohesive throughout the story, consistent throughout the narrative and the characters, and has a proper payoff and culmination at the end.
M.N. Miller.
None of that is pleasant. None of that is present here.
M.N. Miller, a Ready Steady Cut. This is an exceptionally made thriller with satisfying flaws to pick at and debate. Sir, stop trying to angle yourself out there to get invited to the sexy parties in Hollywood. No one is inviting you to anywhere.
Yeah, this
Joe Fryer is a fucking fraud.
This is a painful movie when you look at the technical application of how it's made.
Joe Fryer of Fort Worth Report, Jason wants me to read. It's the end of the world as we know it. Yes, it's the end of the world as we know it.
Sing one of the verses, not the chorus.
I just get a trip to Mars. And I feel fine.
I got you, didn't I?
Start writing that down. End of the world as we know it for Robert Winfree.
You can't actually keep up the appropriate cadence for that without coughing.
You want to try me? I could stop this whole bit and do it.
You want to try? Yeah, please. Look up the lyrics.
Let's keep moving.
You sing a verse to End of the World without coughing up a lung.
I mean, I feel like you shouldn't make fun of my cancer, but
I'm making fun of your bronchitis, not your cancer.
Tomato, tomato.
I mean, I'm
one or the other.
All right, hang on, just for the people at home.
Oh God!
All right, everyone, sing along with Damn You Hollywood.
I so
here we go.
Doing this bit is gonna kill the channel, just so you know.
That's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds, snakes, and airplanes. Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I have a hurricane. Listen to yourself churn. World serves its own need. Don't misserve your own needs. Speed it up a notch. Speed, grunt, no strength. Ladder starts to clatter with fear, height, down, height. Wire and a fire represent the 7 games in a government for hire in a combat site. Laughter wasn't courage in the hurry with the fury breathing down your neck. You said one verse. Jason, did I get the juice? Do I have the juice?
Mark, you got the juice.
Hang on.
Your tempo was off, but I applaud you keeping it together.
Thank you.
I know a guy.
Go ahead.
No, it wasn't that. I know a guy in high school who was doing ASL.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you have to do for a project at one point is you sign out a song.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't sign that one. It was what's that?
The Fire?
No, the song by The Offspring. I think it's The Offspring. No, it's the Bare Naked Ladies song.
Oh, okay.
You know the one that really.
Yeah.
It's been 1 week.
1 week since you looked at me.
Yeah, like
looked at me.
Dude,
somebody's choking a chicken.
The verses on that are nuts. To try, and again, he has to sign. He signed it out.
So I think I'm gonna have to do one of these days.
Time.
We didn't start the fire. There's something about that. Like my kids recently were like singing it or whatever, and like tripping over the words. I'm like, that'll be another one I gotta break out. We didn't start the fire. I don't know how I can put your name into it.
You couldn't
and really work it.
Just use the entire network. Just use everybody on the network.
All right. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do like I did with
homework.
Reservoir Dogs, where I recasted everyone from Reservoir Dogs as Radulich and Broadcasting Network people. I'm gonna take out all the names, and we didn't start the fire, and just put all the Radulich and Broadcasting people in there.
I'm sure that'll go well.
Okay, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this Friday. We'll have it ready for Oscar. Oh, I'll do it with Alexis on. That'll be even better because if she's back on camera again, I want to see her face just fall off. Like it's just be like, ugh, Radulich, I hate you. Be fantastic.
Sure.
All right. Well, folks.
You don't want to go back on the bit?
Nope.
Come on, we didn't. No, you got to find Kevin Carr.
Oh my God.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't want to see what Kevin Carr had to say about this.
I'm only looking for Kevin Carr.
That's fair.
Because Jason wants to get off this podcast. I can tell. Jason's done.
You got the other bit in about trying to pair me up with somebody.
You're not wrong. I can't do one bit without the other. All right.
This is true.
It's fine. But they can find more of your wives. That would make this worth going back to.
Mark's a completionist and continues to insist that I will be engaged in polygamy.
Doug Walker of Channel Awesome. We hates you, Doug Walker. We hates you.
Mark does, at least.
The acting pulls most of it through, but by the end, it comes across as a little underwhelming.
More than a little.
Yeah.
Not wrong about the acting. Like we didn't mention this, but in fairness to this movie, there he is. The best thing about this movie is the acting. In fairness to it.
Kevin Carr, fat guy at the movies.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing,
Kevin.
buddy?
Hope you're doing well, Kevin. Hope you have a sweet Valentine's Day.
How's the old prostate doing, you fat?
Oh my God.
Oh my. It's a slow burn thriller that triggers the what would you do instinct, and it shows some development in Shyamalan's writing, but still has some elements that don't quite fit together.
If you think this represents a step forward in Shyamalan's writing ability, my friend, you have failed miserably in reading comprehension.
We have documented with more than sufficient evidence to win over a jury that Kevin Carr is a toaster oven. This is about right for him. This is a thinking Kevin Carr's movie.
It's the kind of movie that the Kevin Carrs of the world consider deeply.
Yeah, there's Kevin Carrs of the world going, wow, man. I don't know what I would do as I was faced with that scenario.
I don't understand the scenario. And man, the twist that it was real, the apocalypse was real. Didn't expect them to be the horsemen, man. I should have seen that coming. And at this point, you wonder just how many edibles did you have before you went into that theater?
All right. Well, that is our review of Knock at the Cabin.
Such as it is.
Yeah. Yesterday, Jason and I kicked off Black History Month, didn't we, buddy? Homie.
You kicked something.
Yeah. We kicked it live, yo. With a trio of gangsta pictures.
Yeah,
from the
just like the Beastie Boys song "Sabotage," kicking it live.
Stop it, Whitey. We looked at Menace.
That's a line in "Sabotage." Don't look at me like that.
We talked Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, and Juice, because Jason, you got the juice now.
You got the juice.
That's right. People listen to this going, what the fuck are they talking about? Like,
well, go listen. Go listen to the review.
One, listen to their review. Two, we know our audience demographics, Mark. They don't know what we're talking about with that.
This week, this Thursday, Alexis and I are going to wrap up our review of Resident Alien Season 2. The second half of it, which we never got to, we're finally getting to it so I can finish up that and not have loose threads hanging out there anymore. And then in the evening, myself and Pat Mullen are going to be talking the Pernell Whitaker Cesar Chavez fight.
That's a good one.
Thing.
That's a good one.
Yep. This weekend, hey, I made art for your Everyone Loves a Bad Guy re-air for promoters.
No, you didn't.
I made art. No, I did. You want to see it?
Actually, yes. How did you make art? I think I just threw up a picture of Dana White because I couldn't find a collage of the ones I wanted.
You did. But I made art for this, where there's a way to I thought there was a way to show files here. Hang on. Slides. Here we go.
Slides, slippity slide.
You put the powder on the glass, Mark.
You put the packet. You put the packet on the glass. What glass? The little glass dish in the microwave. I closed the door. What door?
The door on the microwave.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Did you take the aluminum out of the microwave before you turned it on?
Where is it? Okay. See if that works. Okay. I'll do it this way. And presto magico, and voila.
Rearrange-o.
What do you think of that, huh?
That's Kevin.
Assuming it loads.
Yeah.
Oh, on my screen it loaded. There it is.
There we go. That's not bad.
We did talk. I remember that episode. We talked. Don King.
We talked Dana White, Don King, Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman, Tex Rickard.
We had to have talked Bob Arum. Pat was on that show.
Yeah, because we talked about Don King and Bob Arum. We
Yeah.
did talk. Yeah, we had a whole bit where we talked about the plane flight that those two had, private plane flight, where they literally would not converse with each other, and each had an assistant talk to the other assistant.
So this Saturday is a re-air of that show where Pat Mullen, Robert, and I talked evil promoters because all promoters are evil.
They're all liars, if nothing else.
And then this Sunday, there was a period, folks, where before I was social and before I was obsessive, there was a period where I used to just take a month off.
You were always obsessive.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't that bad in the 2013 era.
No.
Lies.
Hang on. You were obsessive about your month off. Like you had shifted. Your obsessive personality trait was still manifested.
Mm-hmm.
It just manifested differently.
So yeah, I would take like a month off to deal with like Not So Scary Halloween and my brother-in-law's something or other. I don't remember. There was a whole reason I was taking like a month. I would just need a month off to recharge my batteries, and I would hand the whole network over to Robert, the Roberts of the time, and Jesse. And so Robert Cooper did an entire retrospective on the band Death, which was at the time. I go away and everyone does shows, and all those shows do great. I am not effective in my own network.
Oh, we love you.
Yes, thank you. That's why I have my minions do my cultish things for me, because God knows I am the one making the numbers.
I keep telling you, man, it's not a cult. If it were a cult, you would matter.
So Robert Cooper's Death retrospective will be this Sunday, and then next week we got a re-airing of Ant-Man, Second Chance Man, that's syndicated source material from the Blog Talk Radio days.
Really surprised Jesse didn't go with the irredeemable Ant-Man. That seems more up his alley.
No, well, he did that one too, just not that year. The 2023 Best Picture contenders, and then we'll have a re-airing of our Ant-Man, Damn You Hollywood, from back in 2015. And Everyone Loves a Bad Guy for Ant-Man villains, and then Evan Bevins, who I haven't talked to for like a year on here. Yeah. No, I mean, we haven't recorded in a year.
Okay.
After I became social, after we did, I think it was Firestarter, I was like, that's it. Well, you're one of the people that gets cut, so bye. However,
dude, Firestarter burned a lot.
Yeah, well,
studio.
I got I Kill Giants for Christmas. One of the few Christmas ones I did get. And so we're finally going to do the comic strip that we talked about over a year ago. We're going to compare the movie that's currently on Amazon Prime with the book I Kill Giants. So that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to spending some quality time with my good friend Evan Bevins. That's what I got going on. Jason, show us where you pissed from.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wrong guy to try and pull that card. Like, he'll call your bluff.
I will. You can find me all month long here on the network, being a white guy reviewing black movies with Mark. After the Super Bowl, you can find me over on Mosaic Media MC. And
your Black History Month needs to be rebranded as like
Oreos.
No. Hang on.
Poking the cocaine bear.
No, give me a second. Like
the man reviews movies.
What would you call a s'more made with like saltine crackers instead of
gross?
It's like two crackers, right?
Whoa.
Between two crackers.
Why don't we just go with the obvious one? Two crackers, with cheese in between. There's a lot of cheese between me and Jason.
Just a little bit, yeah.
The saltine movie hour. What?
Right.
Something like that.
Speaking of tired bits, keep going.
In the after the Super Bowl.
Welcome to the Cracker Corner.
Ritz Business.
There we go. That's a winner.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
But yeah, you can find me over on Mosaic MC after the Super Bowl, preparing for the NFL draft. And then once the NFL draft hits, we're going to be ramped up across all platforms, putting out content weekly, going right back into the fantasy football season.
All right,
you got winning the Super Bowl out of curiosity?
Me and my wallet have the Eagles winning for a potential payout of about $2,000.
So we're thinking probably Kansas wins this thing, yeah. That's where the common man's putting his money. Robert Winfree, show us where you pissed from.
No. Look, Mark, I have seen your soggy Tic Tac. You ain't gonna get mine on air.
Oh, I thought you was. Oh my God! I thought
Please do
you
your
were
plugs.
You
White
was
man.
go a totally different route with that, and I was here for it.
You can find me covering professional wrestling and mixed martial arts action over at 411mania.com. AW's Dark Elevation on Monday. MLW, if they send me stuff on Thursdays. They seem to be not sending me stuff anymore, so I might be a week behind with my coverage. They're re-debuting Underground on the Reels channel Tuesdays actually. So I don't know if I'm going to be covering that or not. Probably not. I don't care enough, and I'm not paid enough to care enough. And WWE SmackDown on Fridays. The road to WrestleMania is underway. We have the Elimination Chamber coming up. Sami Zayn is currently fairly hot, and Roman Reigns is going to kill him, and it's going to be great. And then Cody is going to beat him for the belts at WrestleMania, and I'm going to cry. Like the appropriate kind of cry. Like that'll be tears of happiness.
Hey, how was Hot Balls' fight?
Did you say Hot Balls?
Yes. He's referencing Derek Lewis. It lasted, I think, about 3 minutes, and Sergey Spivak ragdolled him, beat him up, and choked him out.
Sounds about right for Hot Balls. How was Fedor Bader 2?
More depressing than just about any movie I've ever seen. It was not great.
Was it worse than Rampage Fedor?
No, because Fedor won.
Mm-hmm.
See, they both swung at each other for a bit. They missed. Bader kind of landed a punch while Fedor was off balance. He got on top, and then just like 2 minutes later of like kind of arm punches to the face, the ref said enough of this.
That sounds like the last girlfriend I had.
Good old Darth Bader beating up an old man.
Yeah, somebody mentioned this on Twitter when that fight was about to start. Like, does Ryan Bader know the MMA fans want him to lose?
Here's what I want to know.
Hang on.
Did Fader come out with an ice cream cone?
No. But
No.
like my response to that was, at what point in Ryan Bader's entire freaking career has his interest ever aligned with the fans?
I was going to say, has anyone ever wanted Ryan Bader to win ever?
Hang on. And somebody reminded me of the fact that Ryan Bader has done exactly one thing for the MMA fan base in his entire career. One. After a round of circling, he decided to take one for the team and let Lyoto Machida knock him out in the second round of their fight on Fox. And just ran face forward at Lyoto Machida and got knocked out.
Yeah, he did. I remember that. All right. Anything else?
I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. If you're interested in my looks into the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts, this week was a preview of the upcoming pay-per-view UFC 284, which I have put more promotional effort into than the UFC. That will be coming out on Saturday. It's headlined by Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski in a battle of the two best fighters in the UFC by their current metrics. Pound for pound number 1, Volkanovski. Pound for pound number 2, Makhachev. Reigning featherweight champion Volkanovski trying to claim the lightweight title from Makhachev. Genuinely great fight. Very much looking forward to it. So if you want a full preview, that's the show for you. And I will be covering it Saturday in the MMA zone of 411 Mania. Next week, Mark and I think Alexis and I will get fancy. I won't be wearing a suit again because we did the gimmick and the gimmick worked once.
Yep.
But we'll get fancy and we'll talk cinema. We will talk, Mark, about the theater. We will put on our Scorsese glasses and we will talk about cinema.
That's right. I'm very excited about this. Not since you and I got fancy and we drank wine and we discussed.
You drank wine.
I drank wine that was given to me by my children. My daughter threw the bottle at me.
She did.
What was it? Not the Northman. The Chloe Zhao movie.
We did a trip. We did trip.
I know, but what was her name of her movie?
Home something.
Nomadland.
Nomadland, yeah.
Yeah, not since we talked Nomadland have I been this excited.
Nomadland and Mank and
The Father. Yes.
Which should have won Best Picture.
Not since we talked about Nomadland have I felt this close to cinema.
We're going to be culturally relevant.
Right. We're going to talk about Ed Sheeran and his Banshees. All right, folks.
You need to retire that before we talk about the movie. I'm just like, get it out of your system because when we talk about it next week, we're not doing that.
No, it is officially known as the Banshees of Ed Sheeran around my house. Because legitimately, I was telling a little ways back when they announced the best pictures, I let Melissa know what the best pictures were. And I guess she was listening to it on like speech to text. I don't know quite how she made this leap, but I spelled it the Banshees of Ed Sheeran. And I think I actually put a picture of like the graphic. And she was like, Ed Sheeran made a movie? Whoa. So, with that said,
I'm pretty sure that's grounds for divorce.
and on that
With that,
note, be well, be safe, and behave.